Good morning, everyone. I'm Harvey Santana. I'm one of the co-chairmen of the House Democratic Veterans Task Force. With me today is my co-chair, Rep. David Knezek, and task force member, Rep. Henry Yanez, along with Representative Knezek, Representative Kent Rivas, sorry. There you go. Vicki Barnett, Representative Banks, Representative Lane, and Representative Deraney. Thank you all for coming today. I'm sure you've heard about our listening tour that my colleagues conducted earlier this year and how it led to the creation of our task force. The same spirit of the listening tour, getting out of Lansing to hear what problems are affecting real people and how to solve them, is what drove the Veterans Services Task Force. Everyone likes to say they support the troops. But here in the Capitol, we've seen budget amendments that would help vets get voted down. That's why we went to the American Legions and VFW halls across the states, to vets, homes, and universities to really see where Michigan falls short for veterans and their families. And make no mistake, we're falling short. At nearly 700,000 people, Michigan has the 11th largest veteran population in the country, but it ranks 53rd when it comes to per capita spending on veterans. That's right, 53rd. We're behind D.C., Puerto Rico, and Guam. After months of going around the state, we have prepared our recommendations to our colleagues in the legislature. Now I'd like to turn things over to Representative Yanez, who will talk over the proposals. Henry.
Thank you. Thank you, Representative Santana. As the representative said, my name is Henry Yanez, and I'm a House member of the Veterans Service Task Force, and I also sit on the House Military and Veterans Affairs Committee. The task force is focused on three areas where we believe we can do the most good for service members. The first is education and jobs. Education and jobs are what veterans are looking for most when they return from the military to civilian life. And my Democratic colleagues have already introduced several pieces of legislation that will address these issues. Two proposed constitutional amendments would guarantee in-state and in-district tuition for veterans attending public universities and community colleges here in our state. One bill would give a tax credit to businesses to hire unemployed veterans. Another would allow state departments to show preference to veteran-owned businesses by awarding contracts. By nature of their service, veterans are some of the most dedicated, hardworking citizens Michigan has to offer. And we should be doing all we can to get more of them into the classroom and into the workforce. Our second area of concern is access to health care and housing. Many veterans come back from war with devastating injuries requiring specialized care, and sometimes in a veteran's home. And the establishment of veterans' homes and an establishment of a veteran home in Southeast Michigan could be a major benefit for veterans and their families who now have to travel hours if they want to see their loved one. And on a personal note, I think that veterans' home would fit really nice in Macomb County, don't you, Maryland? But not all wounds are physical, and I can tell you as a paramedic, I have experience with this. The emotional trauma of war can manifest into post-traumatic stress disorder. PTSD can be very hard to diagnose and even harder to cope with. If vets aren't treated, they can often turn to self-medication or even harm themselves. We recommend that the use of service dogs in public be extended to people diagnosed with PTSD. We also require the state to disseminate information about available services, including Veterans Crisis Hotline. It's sad to report that one veteran commits suicide every 65 minutes, nearly 1 an hour. We could prevent many of these by simply letting them know there's someone there to talk to. Finally, we want to address the issue that face men and women who are still in the armed forces. And that issue is voting. It's often a problem for service members. It's ironic that one of our most basic freedoms is often hindered for the people who are fighting for that very freedom itself. That's why we want to ensure all overseas ballots that are postmarked by Election Day are counted. We also want to allow online voting and voter registration for troops overseas. And families who want to see their service member while on home from leave should be able to take time off from work or school without negative consequences. Now to wrap things up, I'd like to give the floor over to Representative David Knezek. David?
Well, thank you, Henry. First of all, I would really like to thank the service members that we have here with us today, specifically Mr. Guido Capoldi. He's here from the National Veterans Business Development Council. These veterans, these are the folks that we're doing this for. These are the reason why we're standing before you here today. They answered our country's call to service. They believe that freedom is something worth fighting for. They're drawn to a cause that's greater than themselves. And I think sometimes we in the legislature forget that when you sign up to serve your country, you're writing a blank check to the government for an amount up to and including your life. And so those veterans who are willing to make that sacrifice deserve better than what Michigan has had to offer them in the past. And I know that Representative Santana and myself have been able to shed some light on these experiences through our own personal experiences when we transitioned out of the military. I was unemployed for 6 months when I came out of my first deployment. I had submitted 63 applications just to try and get a job down in Dearborn Heights. And at the end of the day, I wasn't even qualified in the eyes of these employers to stock shelves at a video store. Because the benefits were so backlogged at the federal government, I had to pay out of pocket for all the education benefits that I had earned through my time in the service. And while, again, we understand that those problems exist at the federal level, I think that it underscores the importance and provides an opportunity for Michigan to step up and to become a state that's more veterans friendly. To be sure, some veterans face obstacles that the general population does not, but ultimately they want what everybody else wants. They want a job, they want to get an education, they want to raise a family, they want to put the skills that they learned during their time in the service to good use here on the civilian side of life. They want to keep contributing to society in a positive way. And while no veteran would ever want to be seen as asking for a handout, there are certainly some veterans right now who could use a hand here in the state of Michigan. And that's what we're here to do today.